Hi everyone, big part of the course, we are going to learn about AJAX. And so what is AJAX? AJAX is just a neat little term for HTTP requests made in JavaScript. It actually stands for something, if I'm not mistaken. Asynchronous JavaScript and XML. It's a weird acronym because it's like a verb. It makes it sound like a noun, but it's a verb because you do AJAX requests. So, anyways, besides the point, we are going to see how we can use our JavaScript to reach out to an external API, just like you saw where we were reaching out to APIs with Insomnia and with the browser. But we actually wanted to take that information and do something with it. So let's go ahead and get started. We're just going to have a nice scaffolded HTML file like usual. We'll do something like my repos. So this will eventually be a page that will make a call to the GitHub API, retrieve my repos, and put them on the page. So link our script up, and we'll just have an empty UL tag here. Cool. Make sure that's all linked up correctly. Cool. Here's our page, and here's our hello. All right. So how do you use AJAX requests, or how do you do them? It used to be quite a pain, but there's now a new web standard built into JavaScript in the browser called fetch. And so the fetch function allows you to reach out to an external URL and get back some information from that API. So let's see that in action. I'm going to hit an endpoint. So api.github.com/users/gatorpaths/repos will get the repos for my username. So here you can see I'm doing it in the browser, and the information I get back, it's an array of objects. Very similar to how you saw me get the repos for organizations last week. So it's just a different endpoint. You can see the different endpoints in the documentation like we covered, but this is the URL we want. And so fetch is a function, and this function takes a URL as its argument. There's also a configuration object we can add to do different things. We don't need it at this point in the course. As we work more with APIs and start doing like post requests, we can see how we can extend the fetch call. But for now, fetch just takes a URL, and we'll go out and get this data. So this is where things will get a little weirder than what you saw. Usually you're used to seeing a function call like this and something happens. So let's do something like this, const. We might expect that by just calling this function, we're going to get back some data. So let's see what we actually get when we console log this. I'm going to go back to this page, refresh. And what are we getting console logged here? We're getting back promise. So that's weird. What is a promise? Well, a promise is a standard in JavaScript for asynchronous code that is supposed to return some value. And so the thing about the fetch API is that it is asynchronous and it's promise based. So promises are basically JavaScript objects that we can work with to get the data. Essentially, because this request can take some unknown amount of time, we do not want it to block our JavaScript. We don't want this to be synchronous because the JavaScript execution will just pause here and sit until it's done. And you might be thinking, oh, well, that's okay, that's what I want. In a real web environment, wouldn't be what you want because you don't want to stop your script from running. JavaScript won't continue on without it, and that can affect web performance and things of that nature. So how do we get past promises? So the old way, and it's still a valid way, is to use .then. So .then is a chain on the fetch call, and we can pass a callback function. And so I'm going to use more arrow functions. That's where things get nice. So we're going to get a response from this fetch call, and then we want to, let's just take a look at that response. So now this I did a console log hello here to show you that this is asynchronous. I'm going to save this and refresh the page. So you're going to see hello, and then you saw that it took a little bit, and then we got this back. We got a response, and we've got response type cores URL status 200. But you might be thinking, okay, well, where's that data, Michael? So it's in this body, but this body is a stream. And you don't need to get into the details of what a stream is, but the point is that the data we get back from this API call can't just be digested like this immediately. And so what we do with that stream, or the response itself, is we can call the .json function method on the response. That's going to convert that stream into something reasonable. Now, when the convention of this is that we'll chain another .then, because response.json could also be asynchronous. So we will get back some data from that response.json, and let's just console log that data. Now let's see if we get back a better thing. So here's our hello, and now if you take a look, we have an array of objects, 30 objects, and this is exactly what we had. I can prove it to you when we did this. So here's our array of objects, this first one being some repo named Reacto. If we open this up, it's a repo named Reacto. It's in order, so right here. So there you have it. We can use the fetch call to hit a third-party API, and through the use of some promise magic, we can get data from it. In the next lecture, we'll talk about a new syntax that kind of escapes this .then, because it's a little weird. You got to do a lot of chaining, so we will see that in the next video, as well as what happens if something fails, or what if we make a mistake. So we want to see that as well. So I will see you in the next video.